link, the end user link. Okay, it's the same
It's the
one.
same thing. Yes.
I just need to go to your Twitter
Mhm.
and find it.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Please go ahead.
Bup, 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 bup. Stand by. Okay. All right. Let's get this show started. All right.
Let's go.
Yes.
I really got the feeling today. Everything is going my way. Now this is what I'm talking about. Every time I see your smile, it makes me shout. Let's go! Let's go! Nothing's gonna stop us today. Get on the bus or get out the way. We're cruising with the radio on. So turn it up to 10. Here comes our favorite song. Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
Yes, welcome to another episode of the Mystifying Technology with Sam on the Power Series. This is episode 2 of the Power Series. Today, we're going to be talking about Power Apps. We're going to be talking about some cool stuff pertaining to governance and some best practices. I have with me another Power Addict all the way from
Yep.
Nigeria. It's awesome. But before I introduce
Yes.
her, I mean, you can hear her screaming and shouting because she's excited. And I'm also excited because it's an amazing opportunity for us to learn.
Yes, I
But
am.
before we do that, just like we do all the time, well, I need to let you know that from the 11th of January 2020 is going to be the Power Apps Power Platform Ghana 2020, which is going to be the maiden edition and also the first annual business applications meeting in Ghana. So if you haven't signed up, make sure you go sign up. If you haven't joined the meetup group, make sure you join it because 2020, as our friend says, is the year of power. So
Yep.
without much ado, let's get to meet our guest today, Foying. Welcome, you're live. Everyone can see you now. What's up?
Hi, Sam.
It's
How you
been
doing?
not bad. After the text run, I'm sure there's a lot of excitement because the video we posted, people were like, "Oh, so this is gonna happen." Yeah, this is what's gonna happen, and we're doing it. We're pushing it. We have an
Yep.
agenda. We're staying strong with it. We're pushing power. Yes, power to the people. What's up?
I'm good. I'm good.
Awesome, awesome.
How's the holidays been at your end?
Well, not bad. Very calm Sunday. Apparently it's feast of what? The Holy Family. Yes. So yes, went to
Mm.
church. Yes, and yes, being home, trying to set up and prep for today as we have it. So yeah, that's what it's about. Well, viewers who are watching us, so you know, because it's a live event, you have any question for me or for Foyi, you should just tweet at us, any of us, but preferably me, so you don't distract her so she can go on, and give us all the good things. Well, but before we get into it, for people who want to know, like I mentioned, so this we're trying to combine learning the Power Platform and also getting to know our speakers or our guests, because the whole idea is to bring the power also to people who feel they can't do it, and also encourage and motivate people to learn and to know that look, it doesn't matter where you're coming from, you can do it. So can you tell us a
Yes.
bit about yourself?
Okay, great. So, my name is Foyi. Obviously, we all know that now. I studied computer science in school, but A bit about it is when I studied computer science, then for those that are familiar with the educational system here in Nigeria back then, it was basically all theoretical. So when we did our programming courses, it was like, man, this is hard. So I didn't bother. I just knew in my mind that every other thing but not programming.
Mm,
So I basically just started off learning applications in the collaboration space like SharePoint and all, and then basically building portals and
mm-hmm.
doing business analysis and all those type of stuff. I tried programming a few times, watched a few videos, but I was like, no, I don't think this is for me.
This was for you.
So, so I got to know about the power apps from a friend.
Mm,
So basically, because I was doing SharePoint and most of the processes we needed to automate with the SharePoint design, I had to put it on InfoPath.
yeah.
So would build the end user interface with InfoPath and then automate the back end of it with the SharePoint designer, as we
Yeah.
called it then. So, but the thing was, InfoPath stopped at 2013, and we kept waiting. 2016 came, there was no
Mm-hmm.
InfoPath.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was wondering, okay, so what's next? What's Microsoft's plan? They're going to dish InfoPath, something better has to be out there. And
Exactly.
that's how I got to know our Power Apps. And I'm like, wow, this tool is cool. Okay, let's code more power. Okay, that's it. So I started, I just basically started out on my own.
Mm,
Somebody asked for basic simple automation, and I said, okay, I'm going to stop doing info power. I have to start learning how to use Power Apps.
Pops.
So I jumped on it, got stuck, called a friend, went online, basically stumbled through, and I was able to
To do
produce
that.
my first app. And I loved it because it looked really nice. Like the
Mm,
far cry from the interface that we had in InfoPath. It
yeah.
looked like a real app. And I
Yep.
felt absolutely fulfilled. So
Yeah.
that's how
Yeah.
basically how I started my journey.
Wow, that's
Yes, with Power
amazing.
Apps.
That's amazing. And yeah, for those of you who don't know what InfoPart and SharePoint Designer is, well, you're late in the game. But you see, the good news is that you don't have to go through the struggles we went through. Now there's Power Apps that's
Yep.
going to make it very easy, concise, simple. So hey, it's a time for you to jump on. And like she said, you don't have to be, a coding freak. You don't have to learn. You don't have to know how to
Mm-mm.
program. Worst case scenario, if you can
Mm-hmm.
use Excel, you're done.
Yep.
You're done. So
Exactly.
that is the goodness that Foyin is going to share with us. I can't wait. I'm itching to see what she has for us. So, well, I'm going to give you the floor, Foyin, to, show us what you got. But first of all, why governance and why best practices?
Okay, apps. I'm trying to get a hang on it on my own.
Mm,
Fortunately, I got into the community and basically some of Microsoft introduced Anna and said, oh, this is she works here and she's trying to get a hang of Power Apps. And I just had a 10 minute call with her. And the
mm,
next thing I saw was that my name was all over Twitter saying, oh, she's doing great stuff. Let's show her some love.
yeah,
And that was how I met family and the whole, and it has really been helpful for
yeah,
me. So
mm,
along the journey, I discovered that as I started to learn more, because for me, governance is important. So I'm saying,
mm,
how would this work in a financial institution environment? How are we going to be sure that we're doing this right? How do we ensure that security is in place? How do we ensure that we can see what everybody's doing? How do we know that people are not breaking stuff?
yeah,
Because the whole idea is empowering everyone to be able to do this thing. You don't need to come to IT before you can automate a simple process for your unit
exactly.
or for your department. That's where we want to get to. But how do we now begin to control this? So that was what really got my interest in governance. I kept thinking, how is this thing going to work? How is it going? And I kept
Mm,
asking questions from the more experienced guys in the community, and I got a lot of answers. So I felt this is important because I've gone ahead a bit on the wrong foot, and I need to step back a little bit now and
yeah,
start building on the right structure. So after Donna had our introduction last week, I felt that the next best and most important thing to know about is governance and best
yeah,
practices.
yeah.
So that's why I think this is really important. So everyone gets started on the right foot.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
true. I mean, you mentioned in the creatives like, oh, like I mentioned, well, with power comes great responsibility. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. So I mean, what's
Yep.
all these power you have and not having, that governance or that best practice to use the power very well. So it just makes sense for us to, go through the process of understanding what's the good and the bad, how to use the power properly and not to get power drunk. So, well, all right,
Mm-hmm.
ladies and gentlemen, let's just get right into it. So, hey, if you have your content, hey, let's get it on the way.
All right.
Sweet.
Okay.
Awesome. The floor is all yours. And our viewers, like I mentioned, if you have any question for Foyi, just send it to my handle on Twitter or just share it on any of the platforms you are watching us from. And I would ask her, and she'll be gladly, willing to answer the questions for us. So, hey, Foyi, the floor is all yours.
All right. So let's get started. Yes, of course, this is me and Sam, like we all know. Yeah. So thank you, Sam, again for inviting me. I'm truly excited about this opportunity. And I'm more excited that it's coming right from us in Africa, like we're doing our stuff. This
Yep.
is really, really, truly exciting for me. All right, so yeah, this is me. My Twitter handle, me on LinkedIn, Koyalajide below. This is where I work. I work with Sterling, the leading bank here in Nigeria. Yay, and I'm Microsoft certified productivity expert. I'm also a project management professional from PMI and certified development. Okay, let me not bore us too much. So now I'm going to look at this from two areas. First of all, at the enterprise level, and then start talking about the canvas at the canvas level, like
Mm,
how are you supposed to name your controls? What's expected of you? Did you just go there and just give it any name? I felt this is really important because most of us are not coming from the developer background, right? Maybe you're a sysadmin or some administrator doing different things and you jumped on this system developer track. It's important for you to know how things are named and how they are done. Why? Because your application can be maintained by someone else. So you build an app, you leave the organization today and move on to somewhere else. Somebody's taking over from you. The person needs to be able to see your application and understand it without spending hours and getting a headache. So that is why this is important. And I'm only going to give us tips to get us excited and curious, and then give us reference links so that we can do more reading ourselves and start to learn to do stuff the right way. Yeah, so at the enterprise level, you're going to have some initial questions you need to answer. How many environments do I need to have? It's a critical question that I asked myself. First of all, I know a lot of us are building apps on the default environment, and that is a no. You're not supposed to have applications that are being used by the whole enterprise, by the whole organization in the default environment. Default environment is for basically applications that are in use for probably just yourself. But anything that is in use by a unit, a department, and that is in production should not sit in your default environment. And default environment is automatically created, so you don't create this, which is why a lot of us just go there and start building apps on the default environment. So this is a no-no. So how many environments should we have? Ideally, I believe you should have 3 environments. One for development, one for your test, or also called your staging environment, and the last one is your production environment. So this is the standard. So if you have your company existing across different geographical locations, you may also consider having these 3 environments for each of those locations. So that's also the best practice. If you have uh, we have a location in Kenya and a location in Cameroon, then you will have a dev environment for Kenya, a test environment for Kenya, and a production environment for Kenya,
mm,
and a dev environment for Cameroon, test environment for Cameroon, and a production environment for Cameroon. So this is how it should be done at the barest minimum. Reading more articles written by the Microsoft professionals. Sometimes they say, okay, you can have environments based on functions. So all of the HR stuff can sit in a different environment. All of the operations applications can sit in another environment. But I think if you have too many environments to manage, it may also be a bit of a problem. So if your organization is not so large, I would suggest highly that you start with the barest minimum, which is three environments. Yeah, so that's one thing we should be thinking about is who should have admin rights in each of these environments. So by default, anyone that has, I think by default, everybody can create an environment. So you have to go there and turn it off to enable only global administrators and uh, power platform administrators to be the ones that can create these environments. Yes, that's very important. I had to do that,
Mm.
or else you have chaos. You have chaos. Everything is all over the place. So we need to turn this off, and then we now need to think about it. So an important thing to also know is who is going to have this admin access. So what is really critical, kicking off with Power Apps and Microsoft Flow, is you need to have a service account. You cannot it's not your account that you're going to use to run all of these things and create all of these applications. You have to create a service account. Call it Power Platform Admin
Mhm.
or something.
Mm.
And that account will be a licensed account and will have either the global administrator rights or the Power Platform administrator rights. Why is this important? Like I said before, when you leave the organization, you don't want to leave people stranded. So everything has been built with your account. You have to leave, your account needs to be deactivated, and then things start crashing. So let's do it right from the beginning. Have the service account that you use to build all of this stuff that you're going to start building. So that's important. So that account will be an account that will have admin rights in the environment. Of course, you can also make your accounts have admin rights, but when you are building stuff, you need to be able to build these accounts. So how do you manage the Power Apps and also your flows, which you have this Power Automate to build when a maker, as we call them, we call anyone that builds stuff using Power Apps and Power Automate a maker, or also a system developer leaves the organization. So like I said, I leave where I'm working today. What happens to all of the stuff I've built? I think I've answered this. The first thing is you need to have a service account. Secondly, when you start to have citizen developers, what you need to let them know is, guys, as you're creating your applications and automating your processes, you need to share ownership with this service account. Yeah, so just basically share, like from Power Apps, when you click on share, you can say, I want this person to be a user or an owner. To make sure that if you're creating those apps and publishing them, just click on share and add the service accounts to them, to the Power Apps. So this really make handover a lot easier whenever you are leaving the organization. So another question is, where do you want to store and retrieve your data from?
Mm.
A lot of us that are coming from the SharePoint background, by default, we use the SharePoint lists for our storage and retrieval of any of our data. Well, SharePoint list is good, but it has limitations. Yes, I was made to understand. So
Mm.
from the last meetup that we had Keith run us through the common data service,
Okay.
where he was able to explain to us extensively why this is a better storage to use compared to a SharePoint list.
List.
The
Mm.
SharePoint list, you have limits on the amount of data you can store. When you start talking of creating relationships with your data, it gets a bit complex. Yes, so that's why I encourage all of us that are coming from the SharePoint background, including myself, to start using the common data service and start
Yes.
learning how to use it. Yes, so then can I view all the makers in my organization? So you have caught the passion or you've been beaten by the Powerball, you're all excited. So you have decided to train 50 seasoned developers in your organization, and you've done that, and everybody is um, ready to run. How can you view everything that is going on in the organization? So that basically takes me to my next slide.
Yeah, so for before you move on to the next slide, you made a couple of points that I think it's worth mentioning. Yeah, gone were the days when Power Apps came out, initially. There was a problem with accounts. We know that if I created Power App and I left the company, pretty much that was it. Because if my account was nuked, it goes with all the apps I have created. But luckily, that's not the case. And like Foy mentioned, yes, it makes a lot of sense to have a service account that is tied to the users of the Power App. So hey, if tomorrow someone leaves the company, no stress, no worries. The app is still there for you. So really cool thing to know. And just to add a little thing on the data sources, you can actually even connect Facebook, social media, and build a Power Apps over it. So hey, maybe we should get someone next to do common data service. But hey, trust us. Myself and
Yes, you
Foy,
should.
we will make that happen. Back to you, Foy.
Yes, we will. We will. We will. There's a lot of knowledge gap in that
Yeah,
area.
yeah.
And considering the little I've learned about it, I think it's a very powerful storage system that we need to start getting a hang of.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
All right. So this, yes, I guess you can relate to this. So
Yep.
this, the image on the left shows children all over the place. Yes, I know. I'm a mother of three, and there are days that
Yeah.
my house feels like this.
Yep.
So yeah, so we don't. And then the image on the right shows us very. So what am I trying to say with this? You definitely we want the image on the right.
Yeah.
So how are we going to do that? Microsoft has an amazing tool called the Center of Excellence Starter Kit. This tool is so amazing that I thought it's most important to mention it. It's like kind of the answer to a couple of the questions around how do I take control of my environment. So it has this Power BI dashboard that shows gives you a bird's eye view of your environment. Created so far. You see all your makers by name. You see all the apps that have been created in all the various environments. You see all the flows, basically everything that is going on. So you don't feel like a blind pilot. You can see everything that is going on within your environment. I think this is really important for every one of us to use. Then you also have the Developer Compliance Center where you set your metrics. Now, the Center of Excellence Starter Kit comes with a lot of templates that can help you get started. So like the Developer Compliance Center is a template already built. So these are Canvas templates, model-driven applications. These are Power Automate processes that have already been set in place. All you need to do is just download the kit and start to activate them. Again, do not activate with your personal account. Ensure you use the service accounts to do this. Yes, so then it also gives you the app in a day registration. So this helps with nurturing and training and continuous education of your employees. So what does this do? It helps people to register. So whenever you have an event coming up within the organization, so I want to have an event, a 2-day event for the system developer, taking them through an app in a day. I can set this up from the admin side of it and sensitize people. They can go to the portal and register for the event. And I can send them reminders to say, oh, the event is in 3 days' time. And after the event, I can also send them a reminder for the feedback. They link to the survey saying, oh, this has been done. Kindly fill the survey. Like everything is there. All you need to do is just I have a snapshot of it, which I'm going to show to you. Then there's also a welcome message. This welcome message goes to every new maker in the organization. So if any maker, like I said, a maker is a citizen developer, or anyone that is making apps with Power Apps is called a maker. So if a maker goes into the environment and creates an app today, what the welcome email is automatically sends person an email basically telling him, welcome, we're happy to have you making apps on the Power Platform. And if you need to learn more about how to do this, You can follow the links below, and also sensitizing them on the important things that you need them to do on their apps to make it compliant. So that kind of gives them heads up around what is required from them. So then you also have the app catalog. App catalog is a central place where the all applications are like you have access to all your applications. So as you begin to build applications and the number of applications that you have in your organization begins to grow, it is important to have a single interface where you can store all of these applications for easy access. So that's what the app catalog does. Yeah, so this is a screenshot of what the Power BI dashboard looks like. So I know it's not too clear, but I have the reference links at the end. All this
Yeah.
is from Microsoft's blog sites. You can go and take a look. But what this does is you can see your total number of apps you have. So on the left hand side, you can see created this month, how many app makers you have, and you see the little buttons indicating where all of those applications are located. This is leveraging the maps. Then you can come down and see the specific cities that you have and the number of applications created in those cities. You can see total number of environments, how many the environments created in the last 30 days, who are the creators, basically everything going on within your environment with regards to Power Apps and Power Automate. And then when I saw this, I was really thrilled
Yeah.
because you can see everything going on, right? Nothing is happening without your knowledge. Everything is here. So once you go here and this refreshes, so the way it works, there's a flow that runs every midnight.
Mm.
So that's on the Center of Excellence kits. So when it runs, it picks everything new that has happened in the last 24 hours and basically dumps them in the common data service. And this Power BI dashboard is picking this data from all of those applications and just bringing everything to the surface for you to see. So this is what the Developer Compliance Center looks like. So we see that we have some apps that are green and some that are yellow.
Yellow. Yep.
Yes. And so what's basically telling us is that the ones that are green are compliant, and the ones that are with the orange symbols and the yellow symbols have outstanding items that need to be worked on. Of course, this is a template. When you look at it, if you have additional things you want to add to it, maybe based on your company best practices or based on some requirements that are specific to your organizations, you can add them on. So this is the app in the day management I spoke about. If you have a new training or a new just a new workshop you like to take internally, you don't start bugging yourself with sending out emails and sending out reminders by emails and asking people to accept your invite to show they're going to join and all of that. You can leverage this existing Canvas app that is part of the Center of Excellence Toolkit. So just log in, watch your details and all that, and people can just go there and register for the event. So that's what this looks like. And this is the app catalog,
Mm.
basically showing a list of all the apps that have been built from a single interface. So I think that the Center of Excellence Toolkit is very important, and it's actually the first thing that we need to get started with.
Wait.
Now, notes. It has a lot of templates. You don't have to use
Mhm.
everything at
Mhm.
once.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get overwhelmed,
Overwhelmed.
and
Yeah, that's true.
you really just want to abandon it.
Yeah.
But just take it a piece at a time. Look at everything and turn what you need on. Whatever you don't need just at the moment, you don't need to turn it on. Yeah. So we might need to have another session where we can actually deep dive into the Center of
To that.
Excellence
Yeah.
toolkit and
Yeah.
yes, and maybe we can show exactly how to set it up and how to start using the templates in it. But before then, you can go ahead and try it out, and we're here to answer any of the questions that you may have. So
Awesome.
this is the
Just before you go on, how many App in a Day events have you organized so far?
Not yet.
I mean, yeah, there's no, because I mean we in Ghana we've not organized that. It's actually part of the
Not
the
yet.
the to do for the roadmap for 2020. And I say this
Yeah.
because and this is just for people to know how awesome this is. So my very first
Mhm.
experience with, it's called actually the Cloud Workshop in a day. This was when I was back in the US. Now it was at the Microsoft Technology Center, and this happened like I think every month, and it's amazing. Like, you get to learn, it's like a whole day, kind of like a hackathon the whole day, where you get to know
Yeah.
how to build either if it's app or flow or something, and it's amazing. So I think that, hey, all the
Yeah.
guys running the power platforms, or power user groups across the continent, please pick it up. The content is free. You can just go use the same content, get
Yes,
a
it is.
venue, and then go through it. I mean, obviously, connect with us. We are here to help you, to give you some, ideas and insights on how to do that. So that's just FYI for
Yes, we
others
are.
who are interested in that. Back to you, Foy.
Yes, and then yes, thank you, Sam. Also, the app in a day is something we plan to do at our next meetup. Yeah, so yes, and we're really looking forward to doing that. You learn a lot. I've gone through the content myself, and
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot just going through it end to end. There's some things, some of the features there that you learn that ordinarily you may not use on your own, or you may not even know it's possible. But when
Yeah,
you go through the app in a day, you learn a lot of new cool stuff.
yeah.
So yes, I completely agree with you.
One of the things
Okay.
that I
Mm-hmm.
learned, just this quick one, just to throw this in, it was in
Mm-hmm.
the dashboard in the day event that I went to. And
Okay.
some people are here who are artists. Some people have crazy graphic minds and all that. I was shocked to see that Rolls-Royce, which is the manufacturer of jet engines, actually had a
Mm-hmm.
jet engine modeled in Power BI. So it's not a graph, it's not a chart, it's actually a real, like, a visualized jet engine, and you could see the various parts of the engine, visualized using Power BI. So I mean,
Wow,
yeah, that blew my mind. So if you're an artist out there,
that's amazing.
think about it. Someone is running a factory, all right? And if you can visualize the whole, let's say, processing plant, instead of just graphs that the users will see, now they are seeing, how
Mm-hmm.
output is coming from the various
Exactly.
representation. So, hey, power to you, 2020. Let's go for it. For you. Awesome.
More power.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a great one. Okay, yes. So this is the an example of the emails. Of course, this
Hmm.
template is totally editable. You can just throw in all of your stuff here. And this is what we have by default. To the new makers, is basically welcoming them and telling them things that they need to do going forward. Okay, so now I don't know if you have any questions. I'm about to move to the second half of
At the
my
moment,
presentation.
not yet. I'm asking most of the questions, so as they're coming, I'll definitely interject and ask you the questions. So
All
let's
right,
keep
that's fine.
rolling.
Okay, now guidelines in Canvas apps. So most of us just basically go into the Power Apps, create a blank app, and just start doing stuff, right?
Yeah.
But there's an actual way to name stuff. You name your controls and your data source and your collections and your galleries. There's a structure to the naming
Hmm.
convention that is important for us to follow. So for my presentation, we have what we call the camel case and the Pascal case. I'm sure someone is familiar with this.
Oh,
So, but this, I mean, this was news to me, so I felt I
yeah.
needed to put it out there because I'm sure a lot of people would not even know that this. Well, they know that it exists, but they didn't know that it was called
Exists,
this
but
names.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yes, okay. So yeah, the camel case basically starts first of all, no spaces, no no marks at all, no punctuation marks, a single word, and it starts the first word with a small letter. So as you can see, I have an example here with TXT, with the T as a small. Then the next word, the first letter of the next word starts with a capital letter. And then just keep interchanging it like that. So you maybe have text, user, email, address. So this, anything written in this form is written in what we call the camel case. Now, this type of structure is used for controls and variables. So you see that most of the controls, if you look at the templates, some of the Power Apps templates that were developed by Microsoft, you will see that notice that these are how those controls are labeled. Or if you pull in your data source from SharePoint, you see that automatically the controls come in this way. And then this is also the right way to name your variables.
Mm.
Now go to the Pascal case. Pascal case is the like opposite of the Camel case in the sense that it starts the first letter of the word begins with a capital letter, not a small letter, and then it continues that way. So this type of structure is what we use in the data sources and connectors. You can see an example is of Office 365 users. So this is important for us to know as we go along creating our controls and our data sources. It's important for us to use this structure in doing that. Then I move on to screens. It's important to name our screens in plain language. So when you see a screen at the end of it, like home screen, employee details screen, feedback screen, confirmation screen. That's the proper way to name your screens,
Mm.
not abbreviated like what I have here. Or you feel employees too long, so you remove a couple of the vowels in it and just put employee details. Anyway, looking at that, we know that that's a screen. So this is how we should name our screens. And then when we talk about control names has to be unique in your application. So if you notice some of your controls, when you copy and you paste them, you see an underscore one because you cannot have two controls with the same names. And you must use what we call the three character type. So this you have to learn if you're not, if you have no experience with development previously. So that's why you see things like the BTN for button, you see DRP for drop down, you see GAL for gallery, you see the CMB for combo boxes. So these are the correct ways to name your controls. Like the TXT here is for text field, text. So we need to learn. Some of us are not familiar with all these things. We need to learn. But as you use it, you get more familiar
Get
with it. And
familiar
like
with it,
every
yes.
other thing, yeah, you become a master at it. Yes. So this is an example here. This is telling us that this is a gallery. So GAL is gallery. Gallery bottom nav menu. So like we said, the control uses the camel case. So you can see that the gallery starts with a small letter G. So this is a bad example. Just naming the control and calling it Z code or next
Mm.
or
Mm.
country. Stay away from those type of things. Okay, next I'll go into variables. So like we all know, and if you don't know, we have two types of variables in Power Apps. We have the contextual variables and the global variables. What's the difference? Contextual variables or context variables are variables that can be used only on the screen you are on at that time, while global variables can be used across multiple screens. So that's the big difference. Now, they can have the same names in Power Apps, unlike the controls where each of the names have to be unique. So that is why we have to name them properly. So if you're using a contextual variable, you need to give it a prefix of lock, LOC. So you see this as an example, lock success
Mm.
message.
Mm.
So this shows that this variable is a contextual variable. So anyone that's picking up your app and wants to continue to maintain it, once he sees it, he knows that okay, this is a contextual variable. And in the case of the global variables, you have the GBL as the
Mm.
prefix. So you see the GBL indicating that this is a global
Global
variable.
variable.
Now these are bad examples.
High next
Just
button.
putting hide next button, exactly, rest fields,
Yeah.
and some funny things to represent your variables and not exactly the way they should be named. Now look at collections. Now for collections, Collection names has to be descriptive also, and you use the prefix of col. So you can say an example: call menu items, call tribe apps. So you do not say collections something, or
Mm,
just name it like that, or approvers, or items, expense items, those kind of things.
mm,
If it's going to sit in a collection, it's important that we name it properly using the call prefix. So these are the bad examples. Like I said, other call, temp collection, that's a no-no. So additional tips. I mean, there are a lot more. There's a whole document that talks about
yeah.
best practices in Canvas apps. So many other things that we can learn from it. So all the links are at the end of my slide, and you need to really go and read up on it and start using them. So what are the additional tips I'd like to share today? Any media that is not in use should be deleted. So you're building your app, you pick up this image, you don't like it, you leave it on, create another screen, leave it on, finally decide on what you want to use. But all of the other stuff you have been testing with are still there. So anything that is not in use, whether it's media, whether it's your screen, you need to take everything out. Then another thing you need to consider when you're building your app is, am I putting too many flows or
Mm,
business logic into one application?
yeah.
Because then it really gets complex, very complex. So if you think you are, then the best thing to do is separate the applications. Don't put too much workflows in a single app, because then your application won't be optimized to take a longer time to load and get your users frustrated. They don't want to use it. So this is something we also need to consider as we are designing the applications that we
Mm,
intend to build.
mm,
Then this is also really, really, really cool. Instead of using PNGs, you can try to see if you can use the CVG, that's a scalable vector graphics images, because they are a lot
yeah.
lighter. So for
Yeah.
every time you want to use an image, I think you should run a search for the SVGs first. See if you can find something that works for you, which will
Yeah.
make your application a lot lighter than pumping so many PNG images or JPEG
Yeah.
images into it. And then you need to publish periodically also. Don't wait till 5 days time before you publish. Very important. Your application does not auto save until after the first time you saved it.
Mm, yeah.
So once you create your app, first thing you do is you need to save. After that, it auto saves. But it's also important to publish it periodically. Yeah, so these are my reference links. Sam, I don't know how we're going to get this out there.
Well, so they are seeing it right now. Maybe we should just leave this on
Okay.
for a few more minutes. Some people might be taking
All right, while
screenshots,
we talk.
but what you can do is that you could also,
Okay, that's
I
fine.
mean, send it to me after the show. I'll publish it as part of the article for the show.
All right,
Um,
that's good.
like for you mentioned, if you're struggling with free scalable vector graphic images, there's a tool called it used to be Icon 8. Hold on, let me check. I have it on my desktop. So it's a very, yeah, so it's now called Pitch On or something. It's a very simple app. So I'll just show this quickly. So for you, maybe you should also take a look at this. So I'm just going to show this just
Yes, I should.
briefly, and then people can see how it works. So this is how the app looks like. Okay, so there's an update. I'll just not install it, but it actually shows it's on your desktop that you can use. All right. And what happens? There you go. I'm not going to do the installation. As you can see, there is a lot of icons. All I have to do is, let's say if I want this Facebook icon, select it, and then let's go back here, and I can choose SVG here, and then I can download it. So hey, that's another tool um, that's accessible for us to use. Yep. So yep. So yeah, back to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Samuel. That's amazing. I'm going to check that out right
Awesome, 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 awesome.
after this call. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's as you can see, Foy has shared all the cool stuff. The only question that we got came was that how do I get started? how do I get started with Power Apps? Like you mentioned, you need to have an
Okay.
account and all that. So how do I get started?
First thing, aka.ms/powerup.
Yeah,
That's the I
that is
got
the
that
magic
link from Donna
URL.
and it just stopped.
Yeah, yeah. So
That's
let's
the
do
magic
this.
URL and that's the starting point.
Yeah. Let me put that also out there as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, so that's how you need to get started. That's link basically takes you to all the beginner courses on Power Apps, on Power Automate, on Power BI also. So all of this is on Microsoft Learn, absolutely free. All you need to do is commit some time to it and
Yeah.
just get started.
Yeah. I've actually made a personal resolution that within the first quarter of next year, I need to do as many of the certifications in the Power Platform just by going through Microsoft Learn, because it has improved drastically, step by step,
Yes, it
and
has.
it's amazing. It's amazing. So, yep, I'm planning to do that. And for those who don't know, you can
Yeah.
actually
And then
now you can actually now take your Microsoft certification from your own room, from home, provided you meet a
yes.
few requirements. You need to have a clean working space, no extra monitors, a few
Mm-hmm.
things, but you can do that. So there's more convenience. Steady with Microsoft Learn, hey, and go rather certification. So that's pretty
Yes,
much
you
it.
can.
Yep, yep, yep.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I remember when I had my Azure exam at home. So I had to take my PC round so they could see all the
Mm-hmm.
walls and everything. And I have this board in my
Yep,
study where my children had written on it with permanent marker.
yep,
And the lady was, you have to wipe that. I'm like,
yeah,
it can't be wiped. So I had to literally take out the whole board
yep,
from the room for the
yeah.
period of time. So yes, it's really amazing writing from the comfort of your home.
Yeah,
And the support was absolutely
awesome. Yeah.
amazing. Great support. I lost the connection at some point, and then I got a call. I was so
Mm,
surprised because I was
yeah.
already frustrated. Like, oh, I'm not starting my exam and I've scheduled. How am I going to reach them? And then I just got a call saying,
Mm,
oh, yes, we can say that you lost connection. It's fine. Just reconnect now and let's just continue
mm,
from where we stopped. So, yes, that's the thing. And another thing I would like to say is I want to encourage all the ladies out there.
yep.
You know, most people think that, oh, all this cool stuff are not for ladies. Ladies should sit in the service decks or
Please tell them.
or or in IT project
Uh-huh.
management
Mm-hmm.
or as a business analyst,
Mm,
or in communications, IT communications or something. But all of this tech stuff are not for ladies. I would like to come out and really oppose that mindset. There's really nothing that ladies, women cannot do once you set your heart to do it. I know it's tough, especially if you're married, you have
yeah.
commitments, your mom, your dad, your kids, your husband. But once you're determined to do this, you can do it and excel in it. I
You
have,
can do it.
I
Yeah.
have, I mean, Sam, you can't imagine. I have barely 20 ladies on our Nigerian group of over 100
I
people.
I know.
And
It's a global thing, especially for Africa. Seriously, for you. So one of the focus, for us this year is try to partner with a lot of the female groups. And let me give a shout out to Developers in Vogue, Ivy Bailey. Like we're trying to partner with them to take this to them, because the divide is just too huge. The divide is just too huge. It's too huge.
Yes, it is. So apologies. I have an interrupter.
Oh no, don't worry. We oh you see, this is the fun part
Say
of it.
hello. Hello.
You're saying hello to the world now.
Can hardly leave me alone for 1 hour.
No, but you see, this is what I like about it. The fact that people get to know that, look, we are not superhumans. Like, we're family people like you are. Like, we have things going around. Like, you can see around me, I have a lot of things going on. But for this to work for us, for this to, to work for Africa, for us to grow our own, and to build our own. These are some of the sacrifices we have to take. So let's be as natural and as normal as we can
Yes,
be. And
they are.
hey, I think I have a surprise for you guys. I'm going to bring the youngest power addict on the continent. Keep it crossed. I have one person like that. Very soon, he's
Wow.
going to come out. I'm going to show him to the world at the right time. But hey, Pui, it's been awesome, awesome having you. I'm sure that we've set the pace for the others to follow. So this is the time or the point in the show where I get
Yep.
to ask you, who do we hand the baton over to? Who is coming on the Power Series next? Who should we drag? Who should we pull from wherever we have to pull them to come? At least Donna has kicked it off. You've told us we have to do it the right way. Now that we know how to do it the right way, what do we do
Let's get
next?
started.
Exactly. Who do we bring next? So it's open to you.
Yeah.
Since you have the platform, you get the honor to choose.
Yes. Yes, I do. I actually have someone in mind, and
Okay.
I'm giving him heads up.
Okay.
Like 2 weeks now. I'm just basically
Awesome.
going to tell him,
Hmm.
Ibrahim, you're next. I'm sure he's
Okay,
probably listening
Ibrahim,
to me.
you have been summoned to appear before the gods of the Power Apps and Power Platform. So please prepare your
Yes.
slides, prepare your content. I'll connect with you in the week. And then next Sunday, before Sunday, your creatives will be out, and then we can have another awesome, awesome discussion. Now, one of the things that people keep asking, how do you get started? And Donna has a content on how to create an account. But and on with
Yes,
my
she
show
does.
with Donna, I also share that you can sign up for the Office 365 developer account. It gives you
Yep.
enterprise access to do Power Platform stuff. So if you don't know how to do that, just I have to write that as a blog post. I am supposed to do that. I promise I'm going to get that
Yes.
out and share it, and then you can easily do that. So, guys,
Yep.
it's been awesome from myself and from Foyin, awesome power addict. And please, Donna, if you are watching, I am jealous.
Yes, my badge.
Foyin
I hope you
has
can
a
see my
badge.
badge.
I
Oh
don't have
gosh, I
my
forgot to show
badge.
it. Yay, Power Addict badge.
I don't want any issues. Donna, please make it happen. If you have to ship the next batch, please ship it so that we are. I mean, come to think of it, maybe we can do a badge that says, I was on the show or something that we can give out. So as the addicts come through the show, we can give them something, to show that. Well, yeah, but we'll figure it out. So
Yes, we will.
ladies and gentlemen, thank you for making time with us for another thrilling episode of the Power Series. Until we come your way next week with another awesome event, this has been the Power Series, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Sign out.
Bye.
Bye.